you guys might have missed this if you're just getting back into college football. A month ago, the head coach of Illinois, Bret Bielema, came out on a podcast with Urban Meyer and essentially said that Georgia tampered and stole their leading rusher, running back Josh McCray. Now, Josh McCray was really productive at Illinois during his career there. This past season, he was the MVP of the Cheez-It Bowl. He scored 10 touchdowns during the entirety of the year, and he was averaging over 5 yards per carry. So Georgia, essentially, as soon as Josh McCray hopped in the transfer portal, he already knew that he was coming to Athens. Georgia was already ahead of it, which is what made Bret Bielema think that Georgia openly tampered with him, and they essentially stole him off Illinois' team. Now, Bret Bielema tried to recently come back and try to do damage control, but the damage was already done. You straight up accused Georgia of stealing your best player. So we're going to go with the narrative that Georgia did indeed steal Josh McCray from Illinois. And what does Georgia stealing Josh McCray from Illinois mean? Well, for one, they're going to improve what was their biggest weakness on offense last year, which was their inability to play complementary football because they couldn't have a consistent rushing attack. Georgia had their worst rushing attack under Kirby Smart during his Georgia tenure last season, where they ranked 122nd in all of FBS in rushing yards per game. And they also were 110th in the country in rush attempts per game. Normally, Georgia, on most occasions, is in the middle of the pack in rushing attempts and pass attempts. They normally do a really good job of having a good balance of run and pass, but last year they were just completely one-dimensional to the point when they had to rely on Carson Beck to win them games, and that was a recipe for disaster that somehow Kirby Smart was able to overcome and still win the SEC, which is a testament to how good of a coach Kirby Smart is. He's the best head coach in college football right now for that reason. But with getting Josh McCray now, you fix that inability to consistently run the ball now because you have one of the best running back duos, not just in the SEC, but in all of college football entering this season. Because as good as what Josh McCray was, let's not forget about what Nate Frazier did as a true freshman last season, despite being behind an offensive line that was down in terms of level of play than what we've grown accustomed to seeing the Georgia offensive line play at. He was a true freshman who still somehow averaged 5 yards per carry, 671 rushing yards, and 8 touchdowns last season. He was really good for Georgia just to be 1 year removed from high school. So now you got Nate Frazier and Josh McCray. You have one of the better running back duos in college football. And last season, it was thought that when Georgia got Trevor Etienne from Florida, that they would have a good 1-2 punch at the running back position. However, what went wrong with that plan is that Trevor Etienne, he struggled to stay healthy due to injuries. So now, with Josh McCray and Nate Frazier, you're going to be able to rotate both of these backs, keep both of them fresh, make sure that neither one gets injured because neither one will have a huge workload. They'll be able to split up the reps, split up the carries. And with the rushing attack being back to Georgia's standards, that's going to take a lot of the pressure off for Gunner Stockton that Carson Beck had on his shoulders last year. If you want to know why Carson Beck's production dropped from 2023 to 2024, it was because he was asked to do a lot more. If you don't want the starting quarterback of your favorite team to play like Anthony Richardson, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, check us out, JT Sports, on all podcasting platforms. Give us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. Let's get back to the video. Carson Beck is a highly effective game manager. And that's the kind of quarterbacks that Kirby Smart is accustomed to winning with. This was the same guy who picked Jake Fromm over Justin Fields. This is the same coach that won back-to-back national championships with the mailman Sir Stetson Bennett, who, let me remind you, was a walk-on. So Kirby Smart doesn't need flashy quarterback play to win. He just needs somebody who doesn't lose games, who takes care of the football. And that's what Gunner Stockton has the ability to be for Georgia this year, because unlike Carson Beck, he's not going to have as much on his plate because Georgia can now play complementary football. With Georgia now being able to run the football, they aren't going to be as reliant on the ball as what they were last year. Last year, Georgia was 23rd in the country in pass attempts per game. Normally, they are around the middle of the pack, anywhere between the low 50s, high 60s in that department. So with Georgia being able to run the football, you don't have to ask Gunner Stockton to throw the ball 30 plus times to win you games. You can ask him to throw 24 or 25 times a game, which limits the amount of risk that you take with him turning the football over. And it's Georgia going back to their old style play that helped them be so dominant during their back-to-back national title run. They do have a better capability of being more efficient throwing the ball this year than what they did last year, because they did improve the wide receiving core with the additions that they got out of the transfer portal. But getting Josh McCray from Illinois fixes pretty much everything that was wrong with Georgia's offense. Now you don't have to rely on the passing attack as much, which takes a lot of the load off of your quarterback. Then you can run the football a lot more effectively, which is going to help you be more unpredictable on offense. And then third, which is something that nobody's talking about, it improves Georgia's defense, because now they're not on the field for as many plays as what they were last year, because you're not going to have the same frequency of turnovers as what you did last year, because you're not going to put Gunner Stockton in those kinds of situations to turn the football over that much. And two, you're going to be a lot better at controlling the clock, at winning the time of possession battle, which gives your defense more rest, which leads to those big guys up front not getting gas as fast as what they did last year. Because a huge issue that Georgia had is not that they were lacking in the talent when it came to their starters on the defensive line, but they didn't have the same kind of quality depth that they had in years past due to getting raided by the transfer portal of their depth on the defensive line. Georgia stealing Josh McCray from Illinois completely fixes a lot of the big issues that this team had last season, specifically on offense.